Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Adhyasa Bhashya 2. Swami Sarvarpyananda. I can't believe I said that 3 times. Adhyasa Bhashya. I think I said it correctly. Anyways, let's go and get started.
We are in this introductory class for the Adhyasa Bhashyam of Adi Shankaracharya. I just want to emphasize that this is an introductory class. We are not really going to go through it line by line because that would be a really full course. It would take months and months to read this. This is so deep and there is so much that has been written about it. I'll tell you some of the stuff that has been written, the sub-commentaries in the next class. But this is just like a filler. We have 3 classes in between 2 Upanishads. We completed the Kathopanishad and we're going to take up, my plan is to take up the Mundaka Upanishad next. So the classes will stop for a month in April. And so I thought maybe these classes, the 3 Wednesdays open to us, we could use it for the Adhyasa Bhashya. Many people wanted classes on the Adhyasa Bhashya. So that's the reason why we are doing it. So there isn't time to go through this line by line. However, I did read the first line last time, and because it's so profound. Let me start with the traditional chant, and then we will go on to the reading the first line again, a quick introduction to what Adhyasa is, the core concept of that, its actual application in our spiritual life. And then I will try to summarize what remains of the Adhyasa Bhashya, just in English in a few short sentences, so that we have an overview without trying to read the whole text. So first, the traditional chants. Om Narayanam Padmabhavam Vasishtham Shaktim Cha Tatputra Parasharam Cha Vyasam Shukam Gaudapadam Mahantam Govinda Yogendra Mathasya Shishyam Shri Shankaracharya Mathasya Padmapadam Cha Hastamalakam Cha Shishyam Tam Totakam Vartikakaram Manyadasmadgurun Santatamanatosmi Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Shankaracharya wrote this very important commentary on the Brahma Sutras. The Brahma Sutras are the sutra literature which present the system of Vedanta philosophy. Now that has to be explained, and Shankaracharya explains it in his Bhashya or commentary on the Brahma Sutras. But before beginning to explain the Brahma Sutras, he writes this amazing introduction which is called Adhyasa Bhashya, the commentary dealing with Adhyasa. Adhyasa is a Sanskrit word meaning superimposition. What is superimposition? That sounds forbiddingly technical. It just means making a mistake, taking something for what it is not, taking a rope to be a snake, mistaking a rope to be a snake, not knowing that it's a rope, thinking it's a snake, not knowing that the sky is colorless, thinking it's blue or red or whatever, not knowing that we are just pure consciousness, taking ourselves to be a mixture of body, mind, and consciousness. This is Adhyasa, and this is superimposition. Very, very important. This is, philosophically speaking, this is a central conception in Advaita Vedanta. If you get this, you will see all throughout. This is how Shankaracharya makes sense of the Gita, the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras. This is how he explains every possible question in spiritual life, or every possible philosophical question. You'll see how important it is. And it's not new. We have come across this throughout our studies of Advaita Vedanta. When we study Advaita Vedanta, we keep coming across, the old snake and the rope. We keep coming across ignorance is the problem and knowledge is the solution, and the world is Maya. You are already Brahman. By knowledge of your reality, you become free. All of this makes sense only if Adhyasa is established. If what Shankaracharya wants to say here, if this is true, then only all of this makes sense. All right. Let me just read the first sentence once again. I'll explain first in a simple way, and then what Shankaracharya is actually saying in the text. The first sentence. Why the first sentence? Because I said this first sentence is the crucial idea of Adhyasa, or superimposition. I also quoted Professor J.N. Mahanti, who just passed last week, who said this is the most profound sentence he has ever read in all his studies of philosophical literature in the East and the West. So what is this sentence? युष्मदस्मत् प्रत्यय गोचरयो विषय विषयिणोत्तम प्रकाशवद् विरुद्ध स्वभावयोः इतरेतर भावानुपपत्तौ सिद्धायां तद्धर्माणामपि सुतराम् इतरेतर भावानुपपत्तिः इत्यतो अस्मत् प्रत्यय गोचरे विषयिणी चिदात्मके युष्मत् प्रत्यय गोचरस्य विषयस्य तद्धर्माणां च अध्यास तद्विपर्ययेण विषयिण तद्धर्माणां च विषयाध्यासो मिथ्या इति भवितुं युक्तम् तथापि अन्योन्यस्मिन् अन्यात्मकताम् अन्योन्यधर्मांश्च अध्यस्य इतरेतर विवेकेन अत्यन्त विविक्तयोर् धर्मधर्मिणो मिथ्याज्ञाननिमित्तः सत्यानृते मिथुनीकृत्य अहमिदं ममेदम् इति नैसर्गिकोऽयं लोकव्यवहारः. And that sounds pretty wise and difficult, and it is. I read out to you the English translation made by Swami Gambhiranji last time, and when you read the translation, we are none the wiser because we can't make head or tail of what is being said there. But if you break it down, it's pretty simple.
I will say, if that is one sentence, it is super long. I think I said, I don't remember if I said that last time or not, but my gosh, that's a paragraph for a single sentence.
The core idea, at least, is simple. Basically, what he's saying is that when we make a mistake about a snake and a rope, that's just an example. The snake and the rope is the example, and what he wants to say is that we are making the same mistake about ourselves. Instead of the rope, we have ourselves, the Atman, as existence, consciousness, bliss, as pure consciousness. I am that. And instead of the snake, we have body, mind, and also the external universe. So just as the rope is mistaken for a snake, a rope is not a snake is not a rope, but a rope is mistaken for a snake. You are pure consciousness. You are not a body, not a mind, and yet you mistake yourselves for a body mind. You are one, but we mistake ourselves and we think that we are many beings. You are immortal, but we mistake and we think that we are mortal. We not only confuse the two things, snake and the rope, but we confuse their attributes. So, the snake exists. Interestingly, the snake exists, the rope exists, the snake does not. But when we see the snake, we see the rope and snake together. We don't see it's a rope. We see that it's a snake, but we feel that the snake exists. The snake is poisonous. The rope is not poisonous. But when we see that rope and we don't realize it's a rope, we think it's a snake. We think it's poisonous. Oh, it's a poisonous snake there. The long and curved shape of the rope, that becomes the long and curved shape of the snake. So what we are doing is not only mistaking a rope for a snake, but confusing their attributes, their qualities. When we say the snake is, there is a snake, snake is, that isness actually belongs to the rope. This is something to be noted. The isness actually belongs to the rope, because after we get the correct knowledge that the rope is, it's not a snake, it's a rope. A rope is. Notice that is continues. When we first encountered this thing, we said snake is, and then we corrected it. No, not a snake. Rope is. So snake was replaced by rope. We had made a mistake. It's not a snake. Now we realize it's a rope. Very good. But notice something subtle. The is continued. Snake is, rope is. Existence continued. That existence actually belonged to the rope. It was seen by mistake as a snake. So when you say it's poisonous, that the poisonous quality belongs to the illusory snake, not to a rope. A rope is not poisonous. It is long and curved. Long and curved belongs to the rope, because even after you see the rope, it continues to be long and curved. So in a superimposition, in an adhyasa, what happens is a peculiar mixture of fact and fiction, of reality and appearance. The isness of the rope continues. It appears as the existence of the snake. The existence of the rope appears as the existence of the snake. Similarly, in our own case, as pure consciousness, I am awareness, I am the Atman, pure consciousness, and yet I take myself to be body, mind. Yes, I say I am awareness also, but a mixture of body, mind, and awareness. Now notice, what I take myself to be, this man is, or I am a man, let's say. If I'm a man, I take myself to be a man, I say I am a man. This is superimposition. When it is corrected, I will realize I am the Atman. I am awareness. And notice what continued. The man was replaced by Atman, or awareness. But what continued? I am. The I am continued. So when we are having this experience of a superimposition, it's not that we are only seeing the false, but we are also seeing the reality, a mixture of reality and falsity. When you say, I am this person, I am a man or a woman, I am an Indian or an American, or whatever, but the I am it belongs to the Atman, and it's true. It's real. It will continue when you become enlightened. You will still say, I am. That my own existence continues. However, the nature of that existence will change entirely, or my understanding will change entirely. Right now, what is my understanding? My understanding is, yes, I am, but I am a man. I am an Indian. I am middle-aged. I am healthy or sick. I am rich or poor. I am highly learned, or I am illiterate. I live in India, or I live in New York. All of these, the specific attributes, they belong because of superimposition, adhyasa. When this is corrected, when I'm enlightened, it will still go on as I am. But what am I? I am awareness. I am existence itself. I am not a body or a mind. Even when the body and mind are still appearing, I am not those things. I am very clearly awareness only, existence only. I am one, not many. I am unchanging, not changing. I am the pure subject, not an object. And I am not in New York or Calcutta or any place. And Advaitin will say Calcutta or New York are appearing in me, in me, the consciousness. So this correction will take place. But notice,
real quick. Actually, let's finish.
One subtle point is that I am, it continues. Here is the spiritual application. Let me give you an example.
Okay, before the example. So it's interesting. I've not heard them talk about how, locations. Always who your true self is, but never been about locations. Then again, when you think of yourself as when I think along the lines of Advaita Vedanta, basically you are Atman Brahman. Technically, you're everything. You're all locations. You're not a single thing. You're not a single thing. A location is not a thing. You are all the locations. You are not limited by the locations. Let me put it that way. You are not limited by your emotions. You're not limited by your objects that you are. That you are also, because you are also this thing, but not only this thing. I mean, I don't know if I'd ever try to use that in terms of I guess if I were to talk to someone about this, because saying that you're all the locations, I don't think it will help people be enlightened. I guess the most important thing to me for me is to understand about yourself and your body. That the fact that you're not the body, but you are this consciousness of pure awareness. So the only reason why I'd say I probably wouldn't talk about that, because it's so much to take in. And the second that you start talking about things that are just really, really out there, you probably start deterring people away. So I'd probably stick to the more important things, which so far in all the swamis and gurus that I've watched have not talked about how, oh, you're not in your seat right now, you're not in your city, your country, you're not in any of that. This is the first time I've heard of it. I'm like, yeah, maybe that's the reason why they don't talk about that too much. Like it's irrelevant to getting to know yourself, but at the same time, something I've never heard anyone else say, which again is true, in terms of the Advaita Vedanta stance, is the fact that you are not limited to the space that you're in currently. You are the space and more. You are not limited to this. You are unlimited space, unlimited time, unlimited objects, essentially.
Something close to our time. Many of you have heard of Nisargadatta Maharaj, who was in Mumbai, who was regarded as a great non-dualist teacher. Very simple man. He used to sell those Indian cigarettes, bidis. Not a very good profession, but he did that. A simple man, he just sold those and he made his living. And he was initiated by his guru, who gave him. So this man was he was a householder. He had a wife and kids, and he carried on with a few shops in Mumbai. Now he was initiated, and his teacher told him. Now it will make sense. It told him simple, direct instruction. Your practice is to focus on the I am. Just stay with the sense of your own existence. And Nisargadatta said, I heard what my guru said, and it's very important. I believed him that I am is Atman or Brahman. And I tried to live accordingly. I did what he said. And so for months and years afterwards, he says, my main practice would be to stay with the sense of my own existence, the I am. Sometimes for hours together, I would just sit with that. And so what is he doing? He's focusing on the real aspect of this mixture of reality and falsity. It's like noticing the snake. You think it's a snake. Now, if you tell the person, don't be scared of the snake, don't bother about the snake, just notice that the snake exists. Just look at what is appearing to you. Just notice its existence. Focus on the existence of the thing, that which is. That may transition him from the snake appearance to the rope reality. Similarly, when you focus on the I am, you begin to realize, of course, Nisargadatta would be the best person to say. His book, I Am That is a classic, and a lot of people read it. So when you stay with it, you begin to realize the world is changing. I am. The body is changing. I am. The mind is continuously changing fast. I am. The world, body, mind appear and disappear. They appear in waking, they appear in dreaming, but they disappear in deep sleep. I am. If you just try it right now, I am seeing all this. Now, seeing all this, if I block it out, close my eyes, not seeing anymore, but I am not seeing. You say, but you can say all that, Swami, because you're thinking. Suppose you don't think, absolutely no thinking. Then you are, that I am exists as the witness of the not thinking. The I am is always there. That I am. So this is the practice that was given by Nisargadatta's guru. And at one point, he says, in his own account of his own spiritual practices, he says that, and his enlightenment, at one point, the difference became very clear. Within the language of Shankaracharya, he penetrated through the Adhyasa, he penetrated through the superimposition. He says the difference became very clear, that I effortlessly saw I am the completely trouble-free, suffering-free Atman. And I am this limitless awareness. And it became effortless after that. Nothing more need be done. And then he began to teach, of course, and became very popular. It became like a magnet for many people, not only in India, but from all over the world. That small house he stayed in. So people came from all over, and he taught them the same, stay with the I am. So all of Vedantic inquiry, Vedanta Vichara, it turns on this crucial concept. And the concept is also, it points out, even in our current day-to-day experiences, which are based on Adhyasa, superimposition, the reality is still there as the I am, or as the awareness, which continues in all our experiences. Now, if we look at the sentence itself, what he has said is, if you break it down, it makes sense. It's not so difficult. See, the subject and the object are very different, he says. You and whatever you experience, they're very different. Atma and Anatma are very different. You are awareness, and the object is appearing to you in the awareness. You are one, the object is many. You are unchanging, the objects, things in the world are continuously changing. You are aware of them. None of the objects are aware of you, the consciousness, and so on. Now, Shankaracharya says, the self and the not self, you and everything else, they're so different, like darkness and light, tamah prakashavat, contradictory nature, that there should be no question of mixing them up. Rope and snake, at least you can mix up because they seem similar. You can make a mistake. But you and the object, subject and the object, consciousness and its objects, that's so different. One is awareness, one is that which you are aware of. One is unchanging, you are unchanging. Whatever is not the self is changing. You are one, non-self, or the objects are many. You are always trouble-free. The objects are a mess. You as the self, you are real, and the objects are appearances in you. They are false. You are satyam, they are mithya. In so many ways, self and not self are opposed like light and darkness. Tamah prakashavat. Tamah, darkness. Prakasha, light. So there should be no question of mixing them up like a rope and a snake. Not only they should not be mixed, they cannot, it should be difficult to mix them up or impossible. And their qualities also, it's like how strange it is that their qualities also are getting mixed up, because the qualities are different. Changing, unchanging, these are the qualities of the self and the not self, one and the many, the real and the appearance, awareness and not awareness. These are the attributes of the self and the not self. They are so different from each other. There should be no question of, imposing the qualities of the not self on the self and the self on the not self. And he says, yet, he says, tathapi. Yet, it's a fact, all through our lives, continuously from day to day, all through our lives, we see this continuous mixing up of the self and the not self. This adhyasa, superimposition of the self and the not self, and their qualities. What is the self? Atma, pure consciousness. What is the not self? Body. And what do? I am a body. Mixing up, adhyasa. I am this body, or it is my body. What is the quality of the self or the attribute of the self? Actually, they are not attributes, the very nature of the self. But anyway, for the purpose of this discussion, attribute is awareness. And then what is the attribute of the body? Not aware. You are aware of the body. The body is not aware. But what do we actually say? I am aware. I, this person. Now I have superimposed the quality of the self on the not self. The quality of Atma on body. Atma is aware. Awareness. And body is not aware. But now I'm saying this is an aware body. An aware mind. I am unchanging consciousness. Body is ever changing. But what have I done? I am changing. The good old times when we were children and in school. Now we become older. How? has pure consciousness become old?
I will say a great example of this would be people who have become much older, say 40s and 50s and older. I've heard some say it's like, oh man, my body's not like what it used to be, or essentially that really is my body's not like it used to be. They overstrained their body because they didn't realize that their body can no longer do that because the memory is remembering what the body was last, but your awareness is unchanging. And it doesn't realize that the body has changed quite a lot, especially over time. And I guess for this one also, that I don't think that people have issues saying, my body, as opposed to that I am the body. But I think the more difficult one would probably be the mind, as opposed to, I don't know if people confuse the mind and brain. I think most people probably see those as one and the same. I think that would probably be the more difficult one, as opposed to the body itself. Because we understand that obviously if you chop off an arm, there are people who are quadriplegic that don't have any arms or no limbs essentially, and they're still there. But I don't know if you've ever seen anyone with just a head though. Technology will come far enough where perhaps that will be a thing. That'd be kind of scary though. But yeah, I think the mind is always going to be the more difficult part to convince people that they're not the mind or the brain or both.
No, it's the body which has become old. The old age of the body is superimposed on consciousness. So, disease, I feel hungry, I feel sick, I feel tired. Hunger is an attribute, a function of the prana.
I want to. I mean, when he says that, it's like, it'd be kind of odd. Like, oh yeah, my body feels hungry. It's just, it is very much so true what he's saying, because it's very odd to say, oh, my body feels hungry, oh, my body has to poop, or my body has to pee. It's like I have to go use the restroom. It's just a bit easier. But I guess at that point, because that's so taught to us, that it becomes not interchangeable anymore. It becomes literally that, where I am the body, because we keep saying that I have to eat, I have to use the restroom, I have to sleep. It's not that the body needs to eat, the body needs to use the restroom, the body needs to sleep. It's we don't speak that way just because it's understood that you're referring to your body as opposed to your true self. But then, in Western, well, most people on Earth don't think of themselves as the Atman or pure consciousness, and even sometimes have difficulty thinking of themselves as I won't say difficulty thinking of themselves as the brain or the mind, but that comes after the fact. Is, are you the body? Most people say yes. So if I cut off your arm, are you that arm or the body, like Sadhguru always talks about? It's like, oh, no, I'm definitely not that body now. But the brain mind is always the most difficult one.
I'm superimposing upon myself the consciousness. Sickness is in the prana, in the body. I come superimpose on myself. I am tall or short. These are qualities of the body. I superimpose on I the consciousness.
Yeah.
And the opposite is also happening. Your real attributes or your real nature, which is consciousness existence. Now I'm putting that on the body mind. Mind is conscious. All of modern consciousness studies, this is the core confusion. Shankaracharya would say this is superimposition. What is modern consciousness studies? They will say we study mind, consciousness. Immediately it will catch. We are making a mistake. Consciousness and mind are not the same thing. They should not be the object of the same study. So, mind is conscious. You are conscious. You are consciousness, but we feel mind is conscious. You exist. We feel body exists, mind exists. And obscure the reality. What is the reality? The snake appearance obscures the rope reality. This body, mind, and world appearance obscures the Atman or Brahman reality. So this is the state of affairs. To put it very simply, what Shankaracharya is claiming is like a mistake we often make. Like, there are many such examples, like snake and rope. What is actually a rope, you mistake it to be a snake. And then there are effects, you get scared and all that. Similarly, You are pure consciousness, existence, consciousness, bliss, limitless awareness. You take yourself to be a body, a mind, a personality. And then there are enormous consequences. Pleasure, the hunting for pleasure, the suffering of pain, all of samsara, karma, everything comes because of this superimposition. Samsara comes because of this. This is Shankaracharya's claim. Now, let's go into some discussion.
Actually, I'm going to pause it right there. So yeah, I guess I didn't realize he was going to get to the mind, but yeah, the mind is the most difficult. Even me right now. So again, like I said before, understand Atman Brahman, pure consciousness. We're, I don't want to say everything. We're all one consciousness. Everything is one consciousness. But for me, at the moment, in terms of just my personal experience, the best bet I got is that we're a consciousness in the brain somewhere. And once that one part of the brain is removed, I think the body will still continue to function, but it wouldn't probably do anything other than just do its automated things. Perhaps. Again, I don't know. The scientists, obviously, Swami Sarvapriyananda talks about the hard question of consciousness, the hard problem of consciousness. I forget which one he uses. And yeah, and no one, well, I wouldn't say no one really knows, but in terms of science, they don't really know where consciousness comes from. I don't know where consciousness comes from, based on, again, my personal experience. And for those who, I read some of the comments saying, like, out of 2 weeks or however long you still don't know, you're confused between the mind and the consciousness. I don't think I am. I understand that Advaita's perspective that, we're all, everything, all of time, all of object, all of space is Brahman, and we're all one consciousness that is Brahman, Atman Brahman. But just, again, for me, from just my personal experience, I could very well be wrong. I mean, I'm not saying I'm wise or know it all or anything like that, but just I can only base it off my experience, and I don't expect anyone to believe me. They shouldn't. And that's just, maybe we're some part of the brain. Maybe we are all Brahman, pure consciousness. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and try to seek that, only because I don't know if I'd ever come up with an answer. I think for me, the most important thing is just to reduce suffering. That's the first step, reduction of suffering. Realizing, I will say this at the very least, realizing my true self, which would be either the consciousness in my pea brain or the pure consciousness of Brahman. But either way, realizing that and to separate myself from suffering. That is my goal. Whether that be, again, the consciousness in my brain or pure consciousness. If I happen to discover that all of a sudden I realize that we're pure consciousness, then you know what? Then at my experience, I know that. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say, you must now believe this. No, absolutely not. But yes, again, my focus is just for reduction of suffering. And if elimination of suffering ends up being the thing that I discovered, that'd be fantastic. But I'm not, not high hopes on that one. But it's a work in progress. Something that, at least for me, I've gotten pretty good at it. I don't put myself in situations where I end up suffering. I end up doing good deeds, I guess you could say. So I try reducing my suffering as much as possible by being, 1, good, 2, not lying too much. The reason why I say it that way, because I don't know if I have lied or not. I try not to, but maybe I have. So I'm not going to sit there and lie and say I've never lied before. What else? Understand situations, and by me understanding, I generally reduce suffering as well with that. Anyways, that's at least part 1 of this. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.